it was an incredible honor, and certainly an honor that I took very seriously. That was actually not originally in the script. That was something that came about as we were shooting. So it was even more of an honor, in fact, because as we were shooting, Quentin adapts to what he likes as things are going on, and he was so happy with what I was doing as the Bear Jew and the scene where we were beating Brackman. He's like, he just loved the scene where I was kicking ass. And then we filmed. Then I shot Nation's Pride, the film within the film, and Quentin, I think he realized, he's like, wait a minute, Eli's shooting all the action stuff in the film. Like, we fired so many thousands of bullets in 2 days making Nation's Pride. I was like, dude, we had machine guns and 30 guys firing. And he's like, wait a minute, we got a machine gun. And over Christmas, he rewrote it. He's like, we're making a little change. And I read it, and it was like, Donnie kicks open the door, shoots Hitler in the face. I was like, I was so happy. I was like, it was amazing. I was like, I'm going to be, the new Moses. It was look, but I have to say, as much of a thrill as it is to watch, it was really far more difficult than I ever anticipated shooting those scenes. Shooting the comedy scenes, the Margarete, that stuff was fun. We had a blast doing that, and there was it just turned into a Marx Brothers movie. But we shot so much ridiculous, silly stuff of us doing bad Italian. But I know when I'm filming a scene like in Hostel and I'm chopping up body parts and cutting out eyes, as the scene progresses, I'm getting happier and happier because I have this jigsaw puzzle that's kind of empty in my head, and I know, okay, oh look, the eye goo ran perfectly. All right, okay, it's gonna work. Like, I'm just picturing the audience screaming. But when I have to do that scene where I beat the guy's head in, I was like, okay, it's one thing. I mean, I lifted weights. I put on almost 40 pounds of muscle. I was like, the guy's got to look physically imposing when he comes out of that cave. That's one thing. But what's going to make it work is the look in his face and the look in his eyes. This guy has to look possessed. He has to look tortured and tormented. Like all he thinks about is beating Nazis to death. So to do that, you have to really dredge up the most painful. Like, think of your worst breakup, your worst fight, the most horrible death, and like make it feel like it happened 15 minutes ago. So I was working myself up into the state. And after you film a scene like that, even though the scene's fake, when everyone's like, great, okay, it's a wrap, let's go out for drinks, like, you just want to crawl into a hole and die. Because, like, you just want to, you're like, okay, like, and I talked to the actors, like, it was exhausting and draining in a way I could have never anticipated. But, so even the scene where we were shooting Hitler, it's weird because I'm friends with all the people on the crew, and because I'd shot I'd been on the crew because I'd been shooting the Nation's Pride stuff. So I remember the day I was going to do the scene where, wiping out the high command. Everyone's like, God, what's with Eli? Are you all right? Like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to kill Hitler. Do you mind? Like, leave me alone. Like, I'm trying to work myself up. Like, and people would stop. They're like, wait. They're like, Eli's really upset. He's really in a bad mood. I'm like, it's acting, you guys. I'm allowed to act also. So it was hard, but that scene, we almost got killed. That scene, Quentin does not like to use CGI. I mean, he wants everything to be authentic. So he had this fire, and they had done numerous tests with the fire. There was a special set where they rebuilt the theater with this controlled fire. Well, the fire, they estimated it was going to burn, and they'd done temperature readings. It was going to be up to 400 degrees centigrade, and the flags caught fire. They'd never burned all this stuff. They'd never tested with all this stuff in all the props. All the flags caught fire. They're like, it will never get closer than this. And the flyer was like, it got up to 1,200 degrees centigrade, which is 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And you see me on camera, and I got singed. I mean, we had flame retardant clothing under our costumes and covered in fire gel, and there were 2 people in fire suits with extinguishers below us, and then Quentin on a crane in a fire suit. But there's me and Omar firing these machine guns. Our hands just start burning. I mean, it was 2,000 degrees. It was horrible. I'd never experienced pain like that, and I had no frame. I'd never been in a fire. I had no frame of reference for what that was like. And after after like these excruciating, but I had done so many thousands of clip reloads and weapons changing that I was just like this adrenaline kicked in, and I was just like on autopilot, just like possessed, just shooting, going, we've got to do this. It was like, if we die doing this shot, we have to do this. And finally they yelled cut, and they went, and we just, like, I remember we went down, and there was a playback in a tent, which is rare. We almost never have playback. And I watched the shot, and I passed out, and then I woke up, and I had, like, ice all over me. and aloe, and it was 0 degrees out, and we're in this tent with our arms in these buckets of ice and rags, and Quentin said he looked over and said that was about as bad as he ever felt about making an actor do something, but I was happy, because now if any actor complains on any of my sets, I'll be like, well, I don't know what to tell you, because I was in a 2,000 degree fire. But you know what, the shot looked great, and that's all that matters.